Welcome to EdTech AM with me, Abid Patel.
And me, Meagan Alfano. Every episode, we rip up the script and take a fun look at tech, education, life, and everything in between. So jump on in and join us.
Hello. Welcome back to EdTech AM. It's been a minute, hasn't it?
It's been a minute. We're following our extremely popular Canvas Slam episode. That was a whole bunch of fun. That was so much fun.
Oh, that was so much fun. And I'm sure we will have another Canvas Slam episode very, very soon.
Absolutely.
As we will discuss more in this episode.
Yeah. So much
Indeed.
stuff.
But Meagan, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's spring and I have, nothing big to report, just a lot of regular everyday things. But life is good here. How about you?
We've had wonderful weather over the last week until today, as it started chucking it down with rain. But no, it was nice. We had our spring break last week,
Yes.
and just enjoyed the sudden spring weather, which has now suddenly gone away all of a sudden.
Yeah. It's been really windy here lately. It's the typical like Canadian weather where I'm sure it's like this other places too, where you're sitting still in a place for 15 minutes and will experience 4 different kinds of weather within those 15 minutes. So it was very sunny this morning. Right now it's cloudy. It snowed on me yesterday for about 10 minutes, but there's no snow around. I don't know. It's a little bit of everything, but looking out my window right now, I see buds on the trees.
We had some funny weather a few weeks ago where, and I saw a meme that just described it perfectly. Was
Yeah.
7 a.m. defrost your car,
Mhm.
12 p.m. sunbathe, 7 p.m. turn the heating on.
It's exactly what it's like. Yes.
It was
You're like,
exactly
I'm
that.
freezing
which
and
was-
roasting in the same day.
Yeah.
It's true.
So yeah, but thankfully we're getting more sun and we're past the sad season
Darkness.
where of darkness and longer days now. So
It's
that's
true.
wonderful.
I think you and I are in similar latitudes too.
Yes.
Similar-ish.
And on that note, I'm very glad that the clock change has happened after the end of Ramadan, which has made fasting a lot easier. So yeah, that's what I've been busy with over the last month or so, was observing the month of Ramadan and then celebrating Eid. And I've put a couple of infographics on our show notes, which you'll be able to find on our website. And yeah, it was just a very nice time with the family.
That's great.
And now we are back into the swing of things with all things coming towards in the final leg of the academic year, shall we say?
Oh, I know. I can't believe it. My daughter's in grade 1 and she only has 2 more months left of grade 1 and then she's home for the entire summer. So I've been winding up with, what are we doing for the entire summer? It's our first year where she hasn't been in some sort of like daycare or something like that. Like last year, she went a couple days a week in the summer, and now I'm like, there's no more daycare. What does one do to entertain their children all day long?
There's this thing called the iPad, Megan, and you just put your child in front of it. That's what parenting is these.
I have very strict rules about the iPad use in our house.
You mean to say you don't let your child use the iPad? What kind of mother are you?
Right? I'm like, unless I'm on an airplane or on a 2-hour plus car ride, there is no iPad to be found in the Alfano household.
You are a rare breed these days.
That's what I hear. I'm hoping it turns out for the best. But it does in fact mean more work for me. So
Indeed.
good luck to me.
But,
yeah.
Yes, good luck indeed. But
Thank you.
yeah, but in the last few weeks it has been slightly busy. Some big announcements from Canva that we are going to be celebrating in this episode. But that's what I've been busy with, is celebrating Canva Create in person at Canva HQ last week, which was wonderful. Going to Canva is always great. Networking is great, but everyone in the Canva community is very excited about all of the new Canva updates. And yeah, looking forward to celebrating more of that, as the updates become more widely available to schools, in the coming month.
Yeah, it's going to be so exciting. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to play around with it. We will talk more about this soon.
Indeed. But what have you been up to, Megan?
Well, I became my love of microbits has been recognized, because I am now part of the 2025 microbit champion cohort, which means that I get to be nerdy about microbits with 300 of my closest friends from around the world. It's very exciting. I've already met some really, really cool people. Some from I'm not going to say near me because they're all the way across the country, but we share, geographically the same passport. So that's been cool because we've talked about this before. You're going to Canva HQ, and I'm like, I don't have one of those around here. That's one of the downsides. We're very secluded from all of that awesome stuff. I wish it weren't that way, but it is. So it's been nice in that sense to meet fellow Canadians who are also huge microbit fans and talk about projects and ideas and implementing in school. So that's been neat. And my newest endeavor, which I can't talk too much about, but I am writing a children's book.
That is really cool.
I'm excited. This has been like a secret pocket dream of mine, like for my entire life. I have no short of like 7 unfinished stories in my Google Drive that I bring out from time to time when I'm like, it is time for me to become an author. So I'm working with X Factor EDU. And they have launched, there's 2 books so far of a kids sort of collection all around STEM, EdTech, that sort of realm of learning. All the books are really, really cool and written by fellow educators, and they're sort of with the goal of like helping kids learn more about STEM through stories. So that is what mine is going to be. Mine are going to be not picture books, but early chapter books. So like ages 5 to 8. And it's going to be about a bunch of kids and who encounter all sorts of problems, and hilarity ensues. And it's going to be lots of fun. Yeah.
It sounds it, definitely, for sure. And
I'm excited.
Congratulations on becoming an author.
Thank you.
I look forward to it once it finally gets released.
I will write it because I don't know, we're going to talk about this next, but I have a big long plane ride coming up in about a month.
Indeed, yes, that is what is coming up.
Yeah, we're going to Innovate EDU
in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Yes,
we're actually going to be in person again after
I know
6 years.
It'll be just a month or a month and a bit short of 6 years.
Yeah, and this will be my 3rd time at Innovate EDU, and I have always said to everyone I speak to, it is one of the most phenomenal conferences I go to, the most inspirational conferences, and it is such a wonderful country to see and explore, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited. We're both going to be there in person, which is going to be utterly amazing. But if you are around Johannesburg, or you fancy a trip to Johannesburg, fancy getting there, then there are loads of tickets available. Please do still go and grab that ticket at www.innovateedu.co.za. And that link will be in the show notes. And we're delivering some workshops. What's on your schedule?
Oh, I was just going to ask yours. So I'm doing microbits. So one kind of more tailored to beginners, or if you've just sort of dabbled a little bit. So on the sensors that microbits have, what are some projects? How can you plan projects for your class using the microbit? Because the sensors on that little tiny circuit board are huge. Like you can do so many things with them. And then the next session will be sort of expanding beyond that. So then connecting servos and LED lights and things like that to sort of bring it to the next level. So 2 of those, and then a Canvas session, which I am going to have to update now. I'm really excited. So mine is more on using audio and animations and the AI Dream Lab in your to sort of support your learners in your classroom. So it's more about teachers using Canva, but it's really about students using Canva to showcase their learning. And you're doing a Canva one as well, right?
Yes, I am doing a Canva for Beginners session actually. So, for those of you who haven't come across Canva or had the chance to dabble in it yet, we'll be taking a look at all things Canva, and really exploring the wonderful tools and what exactly Canva is and why it's taken the world by storm, because it really has come out. It feels like it's come out of nowhere. Like,
I know.
we've all grown up with Microsoft and Google in
Yeah.
some way or form or another, but now being able to actually do productivity in Canva using Canva Docs, and one of the new announcements, Canva Sheets and Canva presentations, is like I
Oh,
spend
man.
so much more time in Canva, which, when you think, the previous perception of Canva was it's a design tool, right?
Yeah.
A photo editing tool, shall we
Yeah.
say? And you wouldn't expect living in that platform or spending
It's
a
true.
vast majority of your day
Like your
in
full
that
workflow.
platform, and yet now it's become this, or as they've now announced, visual suite, to a point where you can literally do almost everything you need
Yeah.
for true productivity within Canva, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we're going to be looking at in one of my sessions, is Canva for Beginners. So
You're gonna have so many
a
excited
great
people. I can't wait.
yeah, I am looking forward to that for sure. And then I'm bringing back 2 of the sessions that I've delivered before, but updated for 2025. So AI in education, because let's face it, there's been quite a lot happening
Fair amount.
over the last year in AI. We'll cover all things that have been, again, very much from beginner level, as to, what on earth is AI, all the way to using it to, crafting prompts to get it to create the content that you want, and how you can use AI in a classroom, and ways that you can use it to kind of help you perform tasks easier or in different ways, and help you to generate lesson and learning content.
That's
So
awesome.
that's second session, and then the final session is one on cybersecurity and online safety. So we'll be looking at all things cybersecurity, both from a policy perspective, but also in the classroom, and how we can teach our students to be safe and secure from a cybersecurity perspective, but then also looking at online safety, and
Yeah.
what students really need to look out for when using the internet, when using all of these platforms, because let's face it, no matter what we think about these tools and the devices, they are in the hands of everyone now.
Yeah.
And as much as the age restrictions might say you must be 13 or older, or 16 or older, or 18 or older, the fact of the matter is students of all ages are using these platforms,
100%.
and we need to understand how they're using them and how they can keep as safe as possible when using them. So yeah,
That's awesome.
really, really, really excited. It's going to be a great conference,
It
and
is.
we'd love to see lots and lots of wonderful folks there.
Yeah. Come hang out with us. It's gonna be so much fun.
Yes,
I only wish
indeed.
that I could go to your cybersecurity session because I feel like I would learn so much. And I feel like I would leave
This
being like with a list of the because like, I've got my passwords and I've got my things and I've gotten better since I've known you. That's for sure. Even since we started this podcast, learned so much. But I feel like I would leave with a list being like, oh no, I need to immediately change all of these things and do these things because
I have on many occasions joked with Kevin Sherman, our wonderful friend who runs the conference, and said to him, he needs to have a day 3, which is the presenters day, where we all get to just attend each other's sessions. Because
yeah,
I totally have the FOMO. We have some amazing workshop facilitators who come from all around the world, and we get to spend so much time together, which is wonderful. As either side of the conference, we go out for dinner, which is great, and we really bond as a group. But we don't get to go to each other's sessions because we're all
yeah.
delivering sessions, and um yeah, like I one of the facilitators who comes is someone who people know very well, Ken Shelton from the
Mhm.
States, and I've seen him over the last 2 years at Innovate Edu, but I actually got to sit in one of his sessions for the first time last year at ISTE,
Oh yeah,
and
Lego,
and
right?
I was just no,
No,
he did a
I'm mixing
session
it.
on no, you're talking about Stuart Swan.
Right. Yes.
But Ken delivered a session. Ken's written a book with his colleague Dee Lanier
Oh,
on AI in education, and
okay.
they delivered an AI session at ISTE,
Cool.
covering some of the topics in their book. And wow, I was just mind blown. I was mind blown by it. But I have been fortunate to sit in some of Stuart's Lego sessions at Bet, which again also is phenomenal. And who doesn't like playing with Lego?
Honestly,
But
I'm like,
the way he makes it into, pedagogical activities is
yeah.
just phenomenal.
Oh, so
So
fun.
yeah, really looking forward to catching up with some of the great presenters again. But hopefully we will get to connect outside at some point and learn more from each other at a few other conferences.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be, oh man, that would be so nice. I would love that.
Yes, indeed.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, what's going on in the world of edtech? So we have talked a bit about Canva Create,
Yes.
and wow, if you haven't watched Canva Create, go back and watch it as soon as possible. It was amazing. They made some amazing announcements
You know what
about
I
new features.
you know what I think while you were talking about Canva, like your Canva session before, I was thinking, you know what Canva does so well? It's that they have like all of their releases, all of their things, because they've started with design and now it's productivity and all of those things. Their goal is for anybody to be able to do it. And I just love that, and it seems like they really pay attention to what people really use and what people really need, and then they put their own, like, Canva ease of use, beautiful design flair on it, and it's just they're just home run after home run after home run, like, they're just killing it right now, and it's amazing.
And I think that exactly what you just mentioned is that's what Canva's mission statement is. It's to empower the world to design.
Right.
And and I think that is the foundation of what makes it so successful.
Mhm.
I remember talking to someone who was like, "Tell me more about this Canva thing," and I'm like, "This is what it does," and he's like, "Yeah, I don't like it," and I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because it makes everyone think they're a graphic designer," and I'm like, "Why is that a bad thing?" Like,
Great.
it's creativity is it's the that amazing magical spark that
Yeah.
just leads you on to such amazing things.
Well, and it doesn't do I mean, like, yes, there's AI writing and things like that within it, but what I love about it is it doesn't do the ideas for you. It levels the skill playing field, so to speak, for, like, the average human. So I think about somebody who, like, has this dream to, like, create an app or something because they just released, Canva Code is one of the things, right? So this person has this dream to create this app. They've got this really great idea that's going to help so many people, but there are all these technical roadblocks in the way. But I don't have an engineer friend who can code this for me. But now at least, say they want to even pursue funding for something like this, they can create like a real working app or whatever program within Canva code and then use that to kind of bring their vision to life And it's so much more powerful than just explaining it to somebody.
And what I found phenomenal when they were showcasing Canva Code and having used it, now that the features have been released, is
Mhm.
just you literally type in a prompt and it within seconds it shows you the literally as it's going through and typing out each line of code, and
Right.
within minutes you've got a working prototype
Yeah.
of whatever it is that you've wanted to, you know, things that we thought were way beyond us, designing a properly working game. And
Mhm.
or one of the examples they give is an interactive map of the solar system where you can
Right.
click on each of the planets and get more information as you go through. That kind of stuff was just like way beyond
Yeah.
the our imagination. Like you would have to pay, thousands of pounds to buy a particular platform to be able to do this. Now,
Right.
Canva literally allows you to make anything you want, uh, just just through a prompt.
Oh my gosh. And think about this. Okay. So this is my teacher brain talking. So, because I used to teach the solar system every single year, we would start with the sun and the earth and the moon, and then we would move out. And I think about how awesome is that that a student could build that to then teach their classmates about the solar system instead of you having to like front load all of that knowledge and do that like instructor led teaching. You teach them all of the facts about the solar system or have them like research and put it in a Google Doc. They can create something interactive and the learning there is so much more meaningful. They can all create something and every kid would put their own spin on a different way to do this, but now they've seen their like their whatever they've imagined come to life. And that could also light a spark for so many kids to be like, wow, I really love doing this. Maybe I want to do software design or like be a front end developer, different things as I grow. Whereas before they would have no experience with it and maybe that interest would just sort of pass them by.
And it's really interesting you bring up this point. Is one of the things that they announced just after the Canva Create event was they have now changed their terms and conditions to the point where Canva AI is now um, authorized for use by students of all ages. So they've
Awesome.
removed the restriction that Canva AI was only previously available for students aged 13 and over,
Yeah.
and now you can now use Canva in a safe environment with students of all ages. And I think that it's really, really important because we were talking about this before we started recording about how, let's face it, students are using these tools because that's what's prompting the conversation about students are using AI to cheat and that kind of stuff. Well,
Yeah.
students shouldn't be, because the terms and conditions say you can't use it at this age. But let's face it, they're all
Yeah.
using it. And so the fact that Canva has been able to do this and still meet all of the regulatory requirements of COPPA, FERPA, SIPA, GDPR, and it's now accessible, and it enables us to bring the learning of how to use artificial intelligence
Mhm.
in a safe environment using a responsibly safe tool like Canva. And then all of the positive benefits that come out of that, of them being able to craft in Canva code and then see that prompt come to life with with a tangible product at the end.
It's true. And it also opens up a lot of doors for talking about like UI and UX design, right? So like the actual experience of using that, you could talk about like usability, you could talk about like different workflows, who would use this, you can talk about users and bring in like that personal experience side. Talk about, like if we had one user and another user, how would we design for that person? And that kind of brings in that empathy piece into designing, whereas before you couldn't do that because you would be so caught up in actually building something so bare bones. Now you can have those talks about like accessible design and things like that with your students.
And that's one of the things so this is not new in Canva, but one of the things that I've loved that I didn't actually know about until I did the teacher certification for Canva was
Mhm.
Canva has a built-in accessibility checker,
Yeah.
and it can actually check your design for accessibility and will inform you whether you're using hard to read fonts, or whether the
Mhm.
colors are not correct from an accessibility perspective. And I think it's really, really important in this day and age that,
Absolutely.
having that tool to then effectively check whether it's going to be friendly for those with accessibility needs is
Yeah.
really, really, really amazing.
It's huge. Well, yeah, and even like this is old news, but Canva has like a dyslexia font and everything, and it's just really they seem to just think of everything, and it's
Oh
so
yeah,
cool.
like, and yeah, it was amazing how, like, they had these big showcase announcements. They had their Canva Code and Canva Sheets and their new Visual Suite, where you can have all sorts of different designs in just one
Yes.
document, which is like
Oh, I could have
amazing. So
used
you don't
that the
have to
other
just
day.
having to jump between different tabs. That's going to be great. But then so many things that they announced that weren't in the big announcement. The big win for me was multi-page websites. I have
Yes.
been crying out for that, and
Mhm.
I'm really excited to play with that with my own personal site. But that's going to be amazing going forward from a web design perspective, and
Yeah,
just making it really easy to get those web designs out. Because let's face it, web design has always been really cumbersome in some way or another,
it is.
but just being able to put designs as easily as you can with Canva. Um, we could probably talk for Canva for every episode.
100%.
But absolutely catch up with Canvas Slam if you haven't already. The link
Yeah.
again is on the show notes. And if you are as passionate about Canva as we are, then Canvassador applications are open. So again, we've got the application link on the show notes. So do go out and become part of that Canvassador community, and uh, join us with all the fun.
So much fun. So excited. I have
Yes,
to fill mine
indeed.
out.
Yes, indeed, we need you to fill it out. For sure. But on that note, the other thing that's been taking the world by storm is ChatGPT's new image generation, and
Yes.
lots of people have been having fun with that. And I will be brutally honest, I had no idea what Studio Ghibli was beforehand, and now suddenly every picture I see on the internet is Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, I also
Um,
did not know.
um, and also an awful lot of people have launched their own Mattel style action figure dolls.
I've been seeing a lot of that too. I've been seeing a lot of that too. And yeah, it's interesting.
Yes, interesting indeed. We've had plenty of conversation about AI and data on this podcast, and don't get me wrong, we as much as we talk about, we all use it heavily.
Oh yeah.
And there are loads of pros and loads of cons around it. I've been having lots of fun with the image generation for sure. And one of our good friends, Darren White, just wrote a really great blog post on his Substack about some of the benefits that can come out of creativity and personal learning um, from that level of image generation.
Yeah.
So it's fun to see how that will evolve.
It is fun, and it's fun to play around. There's no doubt
Mhm.
about that. And again, this is kind of like the Earth Ranger in me. I always, because I am aware of we're going to talk about like the impacts. We have a link in the show notes about the impacts of AI on the environment. I mean, huge power requirements, water requirements, things like that. Not a lot of regulation in terms of that right now. So while I am all for it, and it is fun, and there are so many good uses for AI, like we've talked about, when balanced with the cons. But just being mindful about creating for a purpose, I think, can be helpful. Not to be like a total downer, because who doesn't want to turn themselves into a Mattel action figure? Like that's awesome, and we want to do things that like make us filled with joy and stuff like that. So I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, but just I think keeping that in mind, keeping that on the back burner as far as your AI use. Is it something that you would benefit from with using AI, or is it something that maybe you don't need it?
I was having a chat on one of our group chats just yesterday, and it does somewhat feel like big tech and the rest of the world have turned a blind eye to AI and the negativities around it with in terms of its energy usage. And
Yeah.
one of the links we put in the show notes was about how OpenAI CEO Sam Altman's revealed how, you know, users being polite to ChatGPT by saying please and thank you adds tens of millions of dollars to the company's electricity costs annually.
Yes.
And I've also read other articles about how you know, AI, the AI data scraping and the energy required from that is like equivalent to the energy use of small countries. And yet,
Yeah.
we're all talking about the positivity around AI and how it's helped us and the image, how much fun we're having with the image generation. And yet it feels like these conversations aren't really being had at the forefront.
Yeah.
Yet, I'm so glad I'm using my paper straw to save the environment whilst the AI tool out there is using the amount of energy to, equivalent to that of the whole country sort of thing.
Yes, I very much feel that way. And it is interesting because of the big tech companies that have their AI programs and things like that, of course we're not having those conversations, right? But we are having conversations about paper straws, denim, different, like the water that's used to create a pair of jeans and things like that. It just feels very um
Imbalanced.
imbalanced is a great way to
Yeah.
say it. So it feels to me like, do you remember? I mean, I remember like when it was you were going paperless, right? Paperless in classrooms was like a huge thing. So we're shifting, we're going one to one and all of that because we don't want to cut down trees and save the paper and all of that. That's great. It feels like the AI stuff, like that 15 years from now, we're going to be having those conversations. But that also feels like maybe we should be having those conversations right now. And again, but it's building awareness, right? You don't know what you don't
Yeah.
know.
Just, before 2022, when sort of ChatGPT kind of exploded with the AI chatbot thing, right? It was kind of big tech were almost at the forefront of like, how what they were doing to achieve net zero status, for
Yeah.
example. And I haven't looked at any of that data recently, but it would be interesting to see how that sort of has flipped in some way or another. And,
Mhm.
it's interesting because an awful lot of companies have, an awful lot of countries and governments have turned around and, parked their net zero targets. Like,
Yeah.
there were countries that said, we aim to be net zero by 2070, for example. And, we're several years off from 2070, and then at this present moment in time they turn around and say, yeah, we're not going to achieve net zero by 2070. It's like,
Well, of course not,
wow,
right?
like, what's changed suddenly? And it's just kind of like, where are we with that?
Yeah.
And are we heading in the wrong direction when it turns into looking at the environment? And it comes back to that, the argument around, where again is that imbalance where the little things about, using the paper straws and, making sure we're switching our TV off at night and,
Mhm.
switching the lights off, in the grand scheme of things, is that really going to help to save the environment when you've got big massive multinational companies doing things across the world that is having a huge impact to a point where, switching my light off isn't going to even make a dent in the drop in the ocean sort of thing.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a lot more transparency around this, like the environmental implications of this. And I think that the big tech companies have an opportunity to, push those environmental goals. Like they have the like find a way. Wouldn't that be so great if they said, "Hey, these transparent, these are the power requirements of running this. Here's our plan for how we're going to accommodate this in a maybe not net zero, but in a sustainable, more sustainable way. I just feel like that would be so impactful, but I don't see it yet.
We're gonna get to that uh, glass ceiling moment at some point
Yeah.
with everything, where at some point it's going to come to blows where right we're seeing the value of these tools, absolutely, but
Hmm.
where do we draw the line?
Yeah.
Where, at what point does it become something that we seriously need to consider about how we use it, the impact that it's having, and what we're leaving, the legacy that we're going to be leaving for our children. What
Yes.
kind of planet are we leaving for them? And it's a conversation that is going to go on for very, very many years, but
Yeah.
interesting to see, because it's not slowing down.
Nope.
It's getting more and more crazier. Something else that we just saw very, very recently was Microsoft have just announced a new thing called Copilot Vision, which
Hmm.
can now see your screen in Microsoft Edge. And oh wow, I have lots of thoughts about that. Microsoft also released, in their latest version of Windows, they released I forgot what it's called. It begins with R, Revert or something.
Okay.
They're one of those tools where Copilot will record everything that you've ever done in Windows, and you can rewind back to a certain point, and it's kind of like,
Okay,
wow,
thanks.
how much of my activity are you actually recording, and can I stop this? And that and
Can I stop it? Isn't that just the goal?
Yeah, indeed, and we were just talking about one of the articles on BBC today, where WhatsApp is one of the most widely used platforms in the world for messaging, and Meta have just rolled out Meta AI to across the UK. Funnily enough, the UK was one of the last countries to get Meta AI. It's been around in uh, all of the other quite a lot few other countries in the world for
Mhm.
quite some time now. But one of the main complaints that users have had is, uh, WhatsApp have said Meta AI is absolutely optional. You don't need to use it. But at the same time, there's no way of turning it off. Like, if I don't want to talk to someone on WhatsApp, I can block them. I can't block the Meta AI though.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, and Meta has a bit of a history with data collection.
Yeah, and on that note, just today, the European Union announced that they are fining two big tech companies, Apple and Meta, a combined 700 million euros because of certain activities that they've been up to, and 200 million euros of that has been fined to Meta over how much choice they've given their users in terms of consent to data collection.
Yeah.
And it's a huge worry out there about, we all talk about, we love free, right? We love to use all of these tools for free. And
Hmm.
when something is free, what is it? Something is not always really free, right? When you use something for free, you become the
Yeah.
cost of that. And one of the things that I say in the session, ironically, in the session that I deliver at Innovate EDU every year is, cash is king, but data is getting even bigger,
Yeah.
because it's all about how, and what one of the videos that I like to showcase is, ironically, this video is from 10 years ago, probably 12 years ago now, where a guy does a social media experiment where he walks up to random strangers and he's like, "Hi, is that you're Megan, aren't you?" And then, they kind of look, and it's like,
Yeah.
"How do you know my name?" And it's like, "Yeah, you've got two children, haven't you?" "Yeah." Like, "And you're from Canada, aren't you?" It's like, "How do you know that? And you're a
Yeah.
teacher." Like, and suddenly it's a realization, and they get really freaked out, and he's like, "I
Yeah.
just looked you up on Instagram, and you've
Right.
posted your whole life on Instagram because that's what social media is, right?" And yeah, don't you remember you went to this event last week and you had so much fun there and stuff? And it's a real huge realization, right?
Yeah,
To say that we are putting all of this stuff out there for the sake of FOMO, right?
it's true.
We want to be sharing everything we're doing because we like the endorphins that it gives us when people celebrate the good
Yep.
stuff that we've been doing, right? And they celebrate our life events. But when a stranger suddenly turns around and says, "Oh, wait, congratulations!" Like, wait a minute, how on earth do you know that?
Yeah, but, like,
And and
it's so
and
interesting. It's
the,
like it doesn't exist until it's right in front of your face.
indeed, like,
It's just free, everything's good, everything's great until the realism of that hits you, and then you're like, "What have I done?" I don't know, it's so interesting. It's like it's
yeah.
invisible.
And on the subject of social media, right? And social networking, OpenAI have announced that they're looking into possibly launching their own social network. And
Mhm.
again, that's going to be an amazing avenue for people to for their AI models to be able to learn from what people are doing.
Yeah.
And I think this has all come out of a little banter between Elon Musk and Sam Altman, where Elon Musk offered to purchase OpenAI for $97 billion or something. And Sam Altman turned around and said, "No, thanks, but we will happily purchase Twitter off you for $9.7 billion." And so I think that suddenly launched a spark within Sam Altman to say, "We're onto something here." Um,
Mhm.
and as much as we are the tech geeks, right?
Yeah.
I think there's an awful lot of conversation to be had around regulation and around big tech and how that's going to be controlled
Mhm.
going forward. And Google have been in the news lately about potentially having being forced to sell off their Google Chrome browser and the monopoly that's and the implications from that are just crazy.
Yeah, I think when anything like this comes out, my first question is always, why would they do that? Like, why would they make that? Why would OpenAI make a social media platform? Because they're not going to create it just for everybody. There's got to be something in it for them. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen. So, what would they gain from creating a social media platform? And then you can kind of start to understand and fill in the blanks from there. And then I think from there, you can decide if that's something you want to participate in or not.
And the trouble is it becomes harder and harder to stay away from these things, right?
Yeah.
Especially in our position as the tech champions, right?
Mhm.
It's not just the FOMO from the social perspective, but also we kind of have to keep on top of these things, right? Because
Yeah.
we need to know what everyone's doing. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's again finding that balance as to how much do you want to get involved. I've always had this debate with an awful lot of teachers who I've come across who are kind of like they're the online safety champion in school. Do you use social media? Nope, I don't go anywhere near social media. I'm like, well, can you really and truly be the online safety champion if you're not yourself engaging with the platforms? I can see
Yeah.
why you're not engaging with the platforms because you've been reading about how bad these platforms are, so to
Yeah.
speak, right? Inverted commas. But then if you're not engaging with them, are you really seeing what impact that they're having potentially on the students that you're teaching online safety to?
Yeah, you're so right. But and also on the other side of that, like you're not seeing the positives or the uses of some of those things because lots of those things are really helpful. Um
And I have this debate in with school leaders so much, especially now that we're having the conversation around AI, and I feel like we're having a deja vu moment with AI, and it's like block all of the AI tools in school, and it's like
Mhm.
no, no, wait, right? We missed the bus when it came to social media. What we did is we all buried our heads in the sand
Yeah.
and thought, right, we're not going to allow any of these platforms in school. And instead, what started to happen is this children started to use these platforms at home, and bullying started to happen, and all of that. And then it
Yeah.
became safeguarding issues. And it's like we had no control over it because
Mhm.
we didn't teach them how to use social media in a responsible way in a safe environment, right?
Yeah.
We're now we're now at that moment where this is now happening with AI, right?
Mhm.
Where the students are using it, no matter how much we want to
Yeah.
deny it or whatever. We're not letting them use it in school for valid reasons that the terms and conditions say not to and stuff. But we
Yeah.
still need to be teaching them about it in some way or
Yes.
another. And in order to be doing that, as educators, we need to be engaging with it.
It's true.
Right, we need to be eh, engaging with it in our organizations, understanding it, using the tools, learning how to use them in responsible ways. Because we've talked about it recently, but adults need to use it in responsible ways as well. One of one of the key things that I've learned is about when we use AI to help us to generate content, check it for its work. Check
Yes.
that
It is
it's
not the
producing the
expert.
right results, right? It's not just the expert, but also that the hallucination aspect where
Mhm.
it will make something up, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there have been plenty of times, right? And for it's been a painful season, but I will say I am a proud West Ham fan, and we haven't had the best of seasons. But yesterday I asked ChatGPT, "Can West Ham still be relegated from the Premier League this season?" Now, I'd already done my calculations, and I've worked out that West Ham are 15 points above the relegation zone, and the only team that can catch them is Ipswich. And if Ipswich win all 5 of their remaining games, and if West Ham lose all 5 of the remaining games, Ipswich and West Ham will be on equal points.
Okay.
However, Ipswich need to turn around a 20-goal deficit, which is unlikely. And
Yeah.
the Octa supercomputer has said West Ham have a 0.8% chance of going down. ChatGPT didn't capture the goal difference aspect and said if West Ham lose all of their games and Ipswich win all of their games, West Ham are down. I
Right.
had to correct it by saying that's not a certainty because
Mhm.
you yourself, ChatGPT, have told me that the Octa computer has predicted a 0.8% chance of West Ham going down, but you've not you've missed out the key factor that Ipswich have to turn around a 20 goal difference. And that's a big factor that you've just missed out. And you've just said to me, yeah, no, if this happens and this happens, they're going down. Well, that's not true. And
Right.
that's a very off the field example, but
Yeah.
there are plenty of things you can ask it. The
Oh, yeah.
memes that we've seen out there that, hey, ChatGPT, what's 2 plus 2? Yeah, the answer is 4. No, no, you're wrong. It's 5. Oh,
Exactly.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's 5.
Exactly. That's what it does every time, right? It will always it won't argue with you.
No.
So, you
Yeah, we
know.
we were playing around with the image generation, and we were like,
Mhm.
can you create an image about this? And it's like, nope, can't do that. It violates my terms and conditions. Oh, but you did it for me before. Oh, yeah, you're right. Here you go. It's
Isn't
like,
that interesting
yeah.
and
Um,
unsafe?
Indeed, indeed, and that's a whole other conversation about
Yeah. But it just goes down to critical thinking, right? Giving it a read, saying, "Yes, I like this. No, I don't like this. Okay, this is helpful." That's great. It can still be a really, really helpful resource and tool as long as you're looking at it with the lens of it doesn't know everything.
indeed. Well, moving slightly away from AI and back into the world of social media and Meta, Instagram are finally working on an iPad app. It's only taken them 15 years, and I can't believe they haven't launched an app for the most popular tablet in the world. But
Congratulations, Instagram.
yeah, well done, Instagram. When it finally releases, who knows? But it's happening, and they have also launched a video editor called Edits that has just been released in the
Oh,
last couple of days,
have you
and they
used
are.
it?
I have briefly used it.
Okay, I haven't yet.
Um, it's still in early stages,
Okay.
but you can tell they are trying to compete with their direct competitor, which is TikTok and also
Mhm.
CapCut,
Yep.
who are both owned by the same company, ByteDance, and you can see they're heading in that direction. But obviously, Meta have put in the big caveat there, where it's currently completely free, whereas CapCut is a paid for subscription, and
Right.
so exactly what we just talked about, right?
Yeah.
um,
Read
but
those terms and conditions.
yes, indeed, especially with what's potentially coming with, you know, the TikTok ban again in the USA and CapCut being owned by the same company. It's going to be an interesting couple of months coming up. Um, and it has, and on that subject of America, right? It has been an interesting time. We in the tech world as well with
Yes.
a certain Mr. Trump and
Yeah.
his tariffs.
Mhm. Yes. It kind of
Indeed.
feels like watching a schoolyard fight.
Are you saying our friendly president is not the most professional at times?
Professional is a really big word to be using.
I have to give it, he did say he'd do this, and
You did.
it's shocking that he's living up to his word, but
Yeah.
he has announced huge tariffs on all imports from almost every country in the world
Yeah.
into the USA, and China being one of the most affected.
Yes.
And it's gonna be an interesting time for tech and,
Oh, yeah.
tech companies around the world, but also the impact that it's going to have in the sense like, take for example, Apple,
Yeah.
they make their iPhone in China.
Absolutely.
Um, Samsung, I think, make their phone in Korea, whatever. These are all imported into the USA. Um,
Mhm.
with the tariffs that he's looking to apply, I think I read one article that said they've gone up to like 125% or something. That's going to be phenomenal. Like, I can't see big tech taking that on the chin. Now,
No.
he has announced a brief reprieve for the tech companies, and so temporarily Apple aren't affected. But for
Much
example, Nintendo announced the Nintendo Switch 2,
yeah.
um, and they've actually stopped pre-orders to the States because of the tariffs.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's so interesting. And again, I always ask myself, what's the goal? What's the end game here? What are we doing? What's it for? And I tend to stay out of the news as much as I possibly can while still sort of figuring out what's going on in the world. But it kind of feels like depending on which way the wind's blowing.
It's hard to keep away. It's hard to keep away right now from the news as much as it
Yeah.
is filled with doom and gloom because it is impacting an awful lot of lives in this way.
Yeah, a lot of businesses.
Prices are going up for everyone,
Mhm.
prices are going up, but wages are not,
Yeah,
salaries are not following inflation in the way that they do. And so it's a tough time. And you're right, the end goal, like, I know, Donald Trump has said it's about, building the US into the place where people do business and stuff, which is great, but I think it's blue sky thinking. One
yeah,
of the reasons that Tim Cook himself gave about why the iPhone is manufactured in China is the because of the complexity and the expertise of Chinese workers, right?
right.
The way that they are building these tools, that expertise simply isn't there, right?
Right. Well,
And
and these things take a long like the infrastructure there is going to take a long time. This is not something that you can just turn around in 6 months and suddenly everybody's doing business in America. It's that's a great goal, but the way that we go about that maybe doesn't need to be so aggressive
mm.
and earth jarring.
Indeed, but let's hope for brighter skies ahead, shall we?
Fingers crossed.
They seem far away, but yeah, indeed, let's definitely hope for that. But onto some more lighter news, shall
Yes,
we say?
I'd like
We celebrated Canva an awful lot, and
yeah.
we've really enjoyed it. But I think something else that has taken the classroom by storm is brisk teaching.
Yes.
And that has been a phenomenal AI tool that has been really, really helpful to educators around the world.
Absolutely.
A little celebration for me. I was recently announced as one of the founding members of Club Brisk,
Awesome.
which is a wonderful ambassador program that they've just started up. So really looking forward to celebrating Brisk in conferences that are coming up very, very soon. But one of the things that they announced was podcasts are now coming to Brisk. So if you haven't used Brisk before, check out the show notes. It's a Chrome extension that
Yeah.
you can install, and it allows you to do wonderful things on pretty much any website. And you can now use it very similar to Notebook LM to generate a podcast for you.
So cool. It's such a that's going to be such a useful tool for everybody. It's I've used the podcast tool in Notebook LM and I actually really like it. I found it useful. And again, like critical lens and all of that, sometimes I'm like, I don't know quite right. But generally speaking, it's a nice different way to get some content and do some learning.
100%. And yeah, by all means, if you haven't checked it out already, the podcast is just one of the new features, but being able to create lesson content simply from a website at the touch of a couple of buttons is just phenomenal. So absolutely check out Brisk Teaching if you haven't done so already. And another celebration. We are celebrating 5 years of Global GEG.
Oh,
Global GEG was a group that a wonderful community that I helped to found with some other wonderful innovators from around the world back in 2020 during our favorite time of COVID-19, which we all
times.
absolutely wonderfully adored and loved.
Oh,
But one of the most wonderful things to come out of that pandemic time was Global GG. And
absolutely.
the event that kind of kicked it all off was EdTech Smackdown, which is where the A, B, I, and the D was first seen. And it was a wonderful event. But by all means, please do go and check out EdTech Smackdown if you haven't done so already. And if you are coming to ISTE this year, Steph Howell and I will be bringing EdTech Smackdown in person in San Antonio, which is going to shake up the room. Let's just put it that way.
I am so sad that I am missing this.
Yes,
I feel like
indeed.
I'm gonna bring I want to bring my foam finger and just be like, "Ooh," and just from the back of the room, the very back of the room.
I hope the San Antonio Conference Center is ready for us because we are going to tear it down.
Oh my gosh. And if you're like wondering, if you're like, oh, what's the A to the B, the I, and the D? Just check out our Canvas Slam episode. If you want to see that persona just come to life before you
Yeah,
experience it in person
indeed.
at ISTE.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Will you be in costume this time or are you
Costume goes as far as the
the
sunglasses.
sunglasses?
That's for
I
sure.
was
Yeah.
wondering if you were going to pack them in your carry-on.
Oh yeah, they will be there for sure. Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work without the sunglasses.
No,
It has to
100%.
be.
You have to
Yeah.
transform and
Yeah.
come into character. Also, I'm sure the people who are watching this are going to be asking, do you have one pair of sunglasses or are there like a few that you have on hand?
Yeah, I'm trying to diversify.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I've been tempted by the new AI glasses that are coming into effect. They're not quite my style just yet,
No?
but
Are we talking about the Ray-Bans?
yeah, I wasn't too much of a fan of them.
No.
Google made a recent announcement that they are looking to bring back Google Glass in
No
some way or
doubt.
another. Maybe not in the style that they previously did it. Definitely not. But
Oh,
for
Cedric.
now, at the moment, I just like to say it's a reverse Clark Kent. The Clark
Yes.
Kent takes off his glasses, the ABI and
Mhm.
the D puts on the glasses. But at the moment, there are multiples, and I probably at the moment I've been very much using budget sunglasses. I
Okay.
need to up my game a bit. I think when it comes
Well,
to
you know
glasses.
what? Canva, if you're
Hmm.
listening, you know how you can create t-shirts, tote bags, things like that. What we really need here is an opportunity to create some custom branded sunglasses.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
So, if we
I
could just
have
do
been
that.
loving the canvas swag. I've got my own It Just
Yeah.
Works
Yep.
hoodie, and I've recently purchased an EdTech AM hoodie. EdTech
Yeah.
AM swag is in the foundation making. So very much looking
Connect if you're
forward to.
interested.
Yes, but sunglasses would be a very welcome initiative.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That would be so great.
Yes. And finally, Meg,
In other news,
in other news, take it
my
away.
Disney friends, my Star Wars fans, Andor is back. Season 2, the best, I'm going to say it, the best Star Wars miniseries that they have created yet. Yes, Obi-Wan was good, but Andor is better.
I see. I watched a couple of episodes of Andor. I haven't completed it yet,
Oh my,
but I'm going to disagree with you
no. Okay, what's
and
your
say
favorite? Is it
The
Ahsoka?
Mandalorian.
Okay, yeah, I'll bite. Mandalorian is really good.
Yeah.
It's
Ahsoka
really
was very good,
good.
and
Ahsoka was
and
also very good.
Dave Filoni just announced Ahsoka season 2,
Mhm.
just the other day, which is going to be interesting because that is going to build up to the very big,
I know,
um, the very big get together, all of the shows coming together, sort of thing.
right? I just love
But
it.
yeah,
Love
I
it.
no, for me, it's the Mandalorian. That's the
You've
one that's
got
kind of
to finish watching Andor though, and then we can have a proper discussion about this, similar to our discussion about Ted Lasso. So
yes,
I don't know if anybody knows this, but Abid lives in the UK, is a
in
West
London,
Ham fan
in
in
London.
London, and yet had never seen Ted Lasso. And so I didn't know what to do with that,
So
frankly.
our friend Kat Lemon actually lives in Richmond, which is the place that the whole show is about. And the utter disgust on her face when she was showing me all of the the places where the show is set, and I kind of just like twiddle my thumbs and say, okay, it's a phone box. Hey,
Yeah,
it's an apartment. Hey, it's a pub. Like, I was not
it's a
interested in
pub.
any
Oh,
way whatsoever. But yes, I will admit it's taken me a while, but wow, what a
but you
show.
watched it. You
Yes,
watched it.
indeed.
See? So maybe
Yeah,
you'll come around. Who knows? We'll check back later.
yeah. Well, I might download the episodes for our long flight to South Africa.
Yes, it's true. It is going to be a very long flight.
Indeed, indeed. But Meg, this has been great. It's been
It
great to
has
catch
been.
up again after a while, and I will see you very, very soon in person, in the
Yes.
flesh.
Yes.
Yeah, in
I'm hoping we
3D.
can do an in-person episode and that there
Yeah,
won't be two boxes in our
I know.
screen, but just maybe one.
Yeah, maybe one box. Like,
We'll see.
we're gonna have to work out the logistics of that, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to be a little short on time. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
little
And also,
10-minute episode, maybe.
you mean to say we have to record something in person? What is this?
Yes. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, this has been fun. I can't wait
Indeed.
to see what we're going to talk about next time because we just have to wait and see what transpires with all of the things that we talked about.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll talk about AI next time.
Probably. I feel like it usually comes up.
On that note, everyone, please do visit our website at techam.org. You'll find the show notes on there and all of our previous episodes. If you haven't already, do catch up with the Canvas Slam. It was amazing. And we will have another one coming very, very soon for sure, celebrating all of the new announcements. But for now, thank you very much for joining us and see you soon.
All right. Thanks, everybody.